Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into Module 3 of our English Grammar course, specifically Chapter 15, Types of Sentences. You know, you can think of sentence types as literally the absolute most essential tools in your communication toolbox. Whether you're just chatting with a friend or drafting up a super formal email, getting a firm grip on these 4 distinct sentence types is going to instantly boost your clarity and help you express exactly the emotion you're going for. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so let's look at our roadmap for today. First up, we'll do an introduction to sentence structure. Second, we'll break down the 4 sentence types. Third, we'll run through some real-life conversation examples. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a quick practice exercise and summary.
All right, Section 1, Introduction to Sentence Structure. So, have you ever stopped to think about how you actually build your thoughts into words? Like, when you're talking, are you conscious of the specific structures you're laying down? Well, at its very core, a sentence is just a set of words that is complete in itself. But here's the real kicker. It's designed with a very specific purpose. It's there to communicate an idea, ask a question, fire off a command, or show an emotion. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that every single sentence you speak or write has a job to do. It's not just a random jumble of words. It is a meticulously crafted vehicle for a specific kind of thought.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 sentence types.
Okay, let's go ahead and open up that toolbox and see what we've got to work with. First up, the declarative sentence. These are, your everyday foundational tools. Their whole entire purpose is just to state facts or give information. And since they're simply delivering data, they always end with a period. When you're speaking a declarative sentence out loud, your voice is usually pretty neutral and steady. It's just a flat, informative delivery without any major swings in pitch.
To give you an idea of how this sounds, let's run through a few examples. I like reading books. She lives in Hyderabad. They are studying English. Do you notice how I read those? I'm simply stating the facts. There's no added drama, no huge shifts in my tone. And honestly, that's the absolute hallmark of a declarative sentence. It's straightforward, clear information, delivered calmly.
Next in the toolbox, we have interrogative sentences. Now, these are the tools we reach for when we need new information. Basically, they ask questions. They're usually leaning on words like who, what, when, where, why, and how. And as you'd probably expect, they always end with a question mark. When you're speaking an interrogative sentence, your voice naturally shifts, right? You get that little upward inflection at the tail end of the sentence. That's your natural way of signaling to the listener, hey, I'm expecting an answer back.
Let's hear how that actually sounds in practice. Where do you live? Are you ready? What is your name? See if you can catch that slight lift in my pitch at the end there. I'm delivering those with, a sense of natural curiosity. And a quick note here, these questions generally come in 2 flavors. You've got your open-ended WH questions, like where you live, and then your simple yes or no questions, like are you ready?
All right, tool number 3 is the imperative sentence. We use these to direct action. So anytime you need to give a command, make a request, offer some advice, or lay out instructions, this is your go-to. Since you're essentially telling someone to do something, your tone of voice really needs to reflect that intent. It should be firm but polite, obviously depending on the context of the situation. Let's just walk through these examples together. Please sit down. Open the window. Don't touch the wire. Kindly help me. This is great because it brilliantly illustrates the massive range of the imperative form. I mean, kindly help me is a super gentle, polite request, right? But on the flip side, don't touch the wire is a much more direct, urgent warning. But here's the cool part. Despite that massive difference in urgency, both sentences serve the exact same grammatical purpose. They're directing action.
And finally, we arrive at my absolute personal favorite tool, exclamatory sentences. As the name implies, these are used specifically to show strong emotions. We're talking deep happiness, sudden surprise, or even intense anger. Because they carry so much emotional weight, they always wrap up with an exclamation mark. Literally, this is how we inject pure, unadulterated emotion into our speaking and writing.
Let me read these examples exactly how they're meant to be spoken out loud. What a beautiful day! Wow, how amazing. That's fantastic. Notice how much energy I had to put into that? That exclamation mark is essentially a stage direction for your voice. It's directly telling you, hey, turn up the volume, raise that pitch, and really feel it. Your punctuation is completely dictating your vocal expression here.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating when we compare all of these side by side is seeing how fundamentally different purposes require completely different punctuation and vocal tones.
right? A declarative gives information neutrally with a period. An interrogative asks a question inquiringly with a question mark. An imperative commands firmly with a period or an exclamation point. And an exclamatory expresses strong emotion expressively with an exclamation mark. Seriously, keep this breakdown in mind. It is basically the ultimate cheat sheet for your grammatical toolbox.
Moving on to Section 3, Real-Life Conversation Examples. It's one thing to understand these sentences when they're all isolated by themselves, but how do they actually blend together in the real world? Well, listen closely to how the tone shifts with every single line in this quick little exchange. Person A starts, "Where are you going?" Interrogative, seeking info. Person B replies, "I'm going to school." Declarative, laying out a fact neutrally. Person A follows up, "Please wait for me." Imperative, directing action with a polite request. And person B finishes it off, "What a wonderful idea." Exclamatory, just totally brimming with positive emotion. See that? 4 sentences, 4 totally different tools, seamlessly combined to create one perfectly natural conversation. Now, I do have to warn you about a few really common pitfalls that tend to trip learners up. A lot of times, folks who accidentally drop a period instead of a question mark when they're writing, or maybe their voice stays totally flat when asking a question out loud. Or sometimes people completely mix up commands with simple statements. Or they just forget their exclamation marks, which completely drains the emotion right out of their sentences. Oh, and incorrect word order when trying to ask a question is super common too. Look, using the wrong punctuation or the wrong vocal tone is kind of like trying to use a hammer to turn a screw. It just doesn't work, and it's going to leave your listener completely confused about what you actually mean. So, the big question is, how do we avoid making those mistakes? Well, the absolutely crucial point is active practice. Let me give you some real practical advice to improve your spoken English naturally. Number 1, try actively recognizing these sentence types while you're listening to other people talk. Actually pay attention to how their voices tilt up at the end of a question or level out during a statement. Number 2, be really purposeful about using the correct voice tone when you yourself are speaking. And number 3, practice reading things out loud with proper full expression. All right, we've made it to Section 4. Practice exercise and summary. I want to challenge you right now to test out all this new knowledge. Here's your first challenge. What a beautiful day. Now think back to everything we literally just went over. Which of the 4 sentence types is this one? I'm going to give you just a second to answer in your head. All right, got it? Yes, it is an exclamatory sentence. You can easily spot that one because of the massive emotion it conveys and, of course, that absolute dead giveaway sitting right there at the end, the exclamation mark. Really great job if you got that one right.
Let's try just one more, but we'll mix it up a little bit this time. I want you to convert this statement into a question. The statement is, "She lives in Hyderabad." So how would you flip that around into an interrogative sentence? Just take a quick second and try to figure it out in your head. Okay, are you ready? The correct answer is, does she live in Hyderabad? Now, did you notice how the word order shifts completely to accommodate the new job of the sentence? We had to drop in the helper verb does right at the beginning and, obviously, swap out the period for a question mark at the end. Stellar work if you nailed that conversion. Okay, let's do a super rapid-fire recap just to cement all of this right into your brain. The 4 tools in your sentence structure toolbox are declarative, which tells you info; interrogative, which asks questions; imperative, which gives commands or requests; and exclamatory, which expresses strong feelings. Mastering these 4 specific structures is literally the foundational bedrock of clear, expressive English communication. And that brings us to the end. But before we go, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Will you actually commit to practicing these sentence types daily to completely transform your communication? I highly, highly encourage you to consciously use your new toolbox every single time you read, write, or speak. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer on Module 3, Chapter 15. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I genuinely look forward to exploring the next chapter of our English grammar course with you very soon.